Hello. Okay, I'm excited. So I haven't done this before here, but let me see if it works. My name is Lisha Antiqua and you're on my YouTube channel. This is a first talk live I'm doing. And why I'm choosing to do this live, which I'm going to share on my other platforms. I haven't done this before here, but let me see if it works. Yay. It's because I was thinking about like the most amazing thing, the most effortless thing that I could do to serve. And I love teaching. And when I feel inspiration come over me on a topic that like literally is calling my heart from the entire world that needs to be shared, it's impromptu. And I could sit down and I could make a video and I could do all this stuff, but then it doesn't allow it to be the authentic teaching that it is, which even teaches me, right? Which I absolutely love. And so I'm really excited to be here. I'm going to invite and see how this works to cross over onto the Facebook community. And I'm going to talk about why your childhood is so important, so fucking important, and how it can set you free. Like your childhood can set you free, and only your childhood can set you free. And I don't think that you can feel and be set free until you really embrace your childhood. And so, or at least look at it. Embrace it. Embrace might be hard to handle, but at least look at it. So I'm really excited to be here. And let me see if this will work. I'm going to open up live chat and see if that works. I don't know. I'll try to say hi to myself here. See if I can see it. All right. I can see it on my phone. So that is beautiful. Let's see. I'm going to share it here. Woo-hoo! All right, I'm posting. Thank you for being patient. See if anybody shows up here besides myself. I think that's sometimes why it's so fun to do these impromptu for me, is because when nobody does show up, right, and everybody watches the replays and I hear about it later, and or maybe it's just out here for the world for later, I get to learn at the same time. So it makes these fun. And when I'm thinking about this channel, I kind of want to do it all, right? Like this channel is about living your best, healing those generational wounds, the cellular wounds, those habitual wounds, right? Those reactivities that hold you captive in bondage to an old paradigm that honestly you don't have any control over. And the key to it all is in your childhood. And there's different elements to that. I'm going to talk about those elements a little bit today. I'm going to try to keep these lives within 30 minutes. So let's say we started now, a couple minutes in, but let's say we started now. It would be, it's about 11:30 my time. So I'm going to try to end by noon. And I'm really excited about this way of doing things on this channel because it feels like I am following my highest purpose, which is to teach. and to open up to perspective. And perspective has always been a really big deal to me. So I'm going to share this on my page and in the groups. And this is the first time that I've shared in the groups here, my YouTube channel. So interesting. Wow, your childhood is so important. All right, boom and boom and boom and boom. Boom. All right. I think that's it. I did it. I shared. Okay, see how this flows and how it goes. Oop. I did not share on my page. I'm going to have to figure out a system. This is why people have teams. So like I said, your childhood can set you free. But not only does your childhood set you free, it sets everybody free. And you know, when it comes to your childhood, there's different elements to your childhood, like I just said. So there is an element that I was born into this world aware of, conscious of. I can't help it. I can't condemn it. I can't deny it. And when I say can't, I mean it, because I've gone through periods in my life where I was so religious and so in fear of not being loved that I would have done anything. I would have loved to have been wrong about this, but actually in my studies and my research and my contemplation, my meditation, which have been extensive, I can't deny it. There is a journey of your soul, right? So your soul has a childhood, and I know that's deep, and I know that's like, whoa, but in my work, I have had to embrace this fact with many of my clients. And when we do, there is a breakthrough like nothing. And usually their physical embodiment of whatever happened with your mother and father or your family that raised you here on this planet, that it opens up to, right? That it opens up to, and things just made sense. So I was born, some people say woke, right? But for me, woke is not some high spiritual thing at all. Actually, it's like this level of responsibility and knowledge that's just weird. It's weird when you're growing up. But I knew about other lives. I knew that my soul wasn't here the first time. I knew things, and I know things that I just can't explain how I know them. And they're from a part of me that is just memories that are just different. Okay, so being awoke to this different world, to being able to see things, to empathic field, to angelic beings, to souls. I kind of grew up knowing that there was like this, I needed to know more about my soul's journey, right? I wanted to connect in with that. So I wanted to do that. Well, at the same time, I really came into this life being very much on this like hard course to learn about how to heal on multiple levels, right? And when I say heal, I don't mean be healthy or something's broken or wrong. I mean to embody, to to be responsible for. And so my biggest break in my body was to learn or to think that I was powerless and broken and just wrong. Okay. And then, so that led me into really studying about healing my childhood, right? If I had a perfect childhood, I never would have really looked at like what impact your childhood has on you, your genetic impacts and your emotional impacts and your mental impacts and your beliefs and your physical makeup, right? We have this like physical body, we have our genetics. I work with a company that we run genetics on my clients because it's so mind-blowing how much sense things make. So I just talked about 2 ways your childhood interacts, right? So one piece of the childhood is this spiritual realm, the spark that is you, that is consciousness, this conscious, beautiful, amazing part of you that oftentimes we think of as like the spark of God within us. But this spark of God is learning, is growing, is experiencing, right? Our job is to experience, to walk through these experiences, to grow. And then we have our genetics, right? So our genetics, you don't have, like, our genetics are genetics. Like, some people believe that your soul picked your family of origin. And if that's so, then maybe on some much higher plane in another consciousness that it may be accessible to you, you can say, yes, I picked my parents. Or maybe you didn't, right? Maybe that's the other side of this. And we know that we know when we know, right? What's your story? So we have this, and then we have our genetics. Our genetics, whether you pick your parents or not, like, they're just a mesh. Even our parents don't know because it's the 2 coming together. And they're so powerful, so powerful. They're powerful for moods. They're powerful for features. They're powerful for diseases. They're powerful for how we digest things. I mean, our genetic makeup is, I'm so grateful that this day and age that we actually know our genetic makeup, that we have the possibility to know that. It was one of the most freeing tests I ever did for myself, only in the sense that I now have understanding. And I think that that's beautiful. So why is your childhood important, right? Well, we have those 2 pieces of our childhood, the spark that is us and that journey, that awareness of our soul, our individualized souls, and what that feels like. So I help my clients walk through that journey, like remembering that. And then there's the awareness of your genetic makeup, right? Which comes when you're a baby, when you're born into this body. And we all have it. We all have this one body. Like, you can't jump out and like switch to somebody else's body. Even if you do quantum jumping and leaping and everything, it's the consciousness and design that you're working the mind body into by claiming your responsibility for it. One thing about my childhood that I absolutely love, and I don't talk about things that were really good very often, because the last years I've been really working towards the place I'm at right now. It is a place of me feeling like I can safely and lovingly move my clients forward through whatever came up in their childhood. Working with sexual abuse survivors, and not all of my clients are. Don't assume that at all, but many are. And I've spent a lot of time healing childhood trauma, because I think almost everybody has childhood trauma, whether it's your parents wanted you to be a certain way and you didn't feel like you could live up to it. Okay, that's a really big, huge trauma that many people have that we don't talk about. And it's a trauma because a trauma is anything that, I hope you guys can hear me. I'm not really listening, but anything that your current skill set, your coping skills, right? What's coming in your body, didn't know how to filter, didn't know how to channel. So your nervous system freaked out and it created a reprogramming. And if the trauma was really bad and it wasn't able to align right away, we go through PTSD until we can unravel that trauma, or low-grade depression or anxiety, or it sparks something in us for something like bipolar, or just a dismissal and a detachment from what happened, and more of a disassociation disorder. But there's different degrees to that, and it took me a long time, actually, and I resisted it and I fought it for many years to come to the place that I'm at now, which is in the process, the final stages of getting my PhD, which is, and with all my client work and the history, I feel super confident that now I can officially end the cycle of abuse, which is fucking crazy because I literally got here like yesterday in my own consciousness. But I can, like, I am so, Faith, hi, I'm a domestic abuse survivor. My spouse and family and mom, and the mom that even recently abused Mr. passed away with COVID. So many emotions. One of my abusers passed away from COVID too. Well, fuck yeah for surviving, Faith. Right? Like, oh my gosh. I would love to hear more of your story. I actually have tons of questions for you right now. So if you want to tell me more, you can, but on your journey of ending the cycle for yourself and your family, what happens, often is we kind of do these little repeats. For me, I did the repeat on really creating an environment of disapproval for myself. So I felt not enough, and I created that for my kids. But luckily, there was no sexual or physical abuse at all. So I ended that cycle, which I'm super excited about. And I did that by reviewing my childhood. And I was stuck in that pattern because when I turned my third abuser in, so I'm labeling them now instead of telling you who they were. Anyway, so my third abuser, I turned him in, and when he passed a couple years ago, I think I sat on the bed, Faith. Maybe this is why you're here, because it's such a beautiful story. I literally sat on the couch and I cried for 2 weeks when he passed. The soul tie, right? The soul tie is family. And the soul tie from that was like so large, even after all of the years of therapy. I mean, I got into therapy at 13 years old and got help, and the whole family got help, and it was beautiful. But that whole thing, like, I was so amazed at actually like how much relief and how much sadness and sorrow got to come out at that point. And when my first abuser passed away, I had this just all day PTSD all day, and deep conversations with his soul, and it took me a while too. So the grieving process is really intense, I think, for abusers. If you're close to them, if you're abused by somebody close and you know that, they can be very intense. So be easy on yourself, be loving on yourself, be extra special loving on yourself. And yeah, and just really, really enjoyed that. So I think I was thrown off course though. I was telling you a story about something wonderful in my childhood. Well, I'm gonna have to remember that one. I'm trying to remember what I'm trying to remember. Not coming to me. So I will keep going and maybe it'll come back up. And that's what I was talking about in the beginning. Like when I do these lives, I like to speak from this place of inspiration, because as I teach, and I've had the years of teaching and experience, when I've been teaching yoga and wellness and body and nutrition and everything for 23 years, it was pointed out to me yesterday. I was like, oh my gosh, 23 years. That's quite a bit of years. That's, half my lifetime, which is wild. So, this in-depth feeling, and knowing about getting to look at my childhood from a young age. My mother, another great thing about my childhood is my mom was really, both my parents were very spiritual. I had a great relationship with my church and with music and with worship and with that entire spiritual realm, which I'm so grateful for. Just nothing ever happened there until I was older and able to handle it. But I had just this most beautiful relationship with that. And I also she was into metaphysics. So we went to conferences with people like Neil Donald Walsh and the Silva method and rebirthing. And we lived in Boulder, Colorado, and near Naropa, and we were doing Reiki, and we were doing Ralphing, right? All in my teens and early 20s. And so I was growing in this education, and through all of it, we were focused on two things. And the first thing was to get skinny. And I don't remember a moment in my life. I mean, it was my mom's story. She couldn't remember any time in her life where she wasn't on a diet. I think she said grandma started her on it at like, I don't know, I think she was like 5 or some shit. And my mom grew up about 5 years old. And so I was always trying this, and I was less of a dieter, less of that. I had bulimia, but I had more of a normal figure. I never got like super skinny except when I had cancer. And I was healthy, I was fit, I was really into fitness, but it was my driving force. So why I learned about health and nutrition, it wasn't really because I had cancer. I really began that journey because I wanted to be thin, and I stuck to it because I wanted to be thin. And the cancer was just kind of this byproduct. And the same thing happened to my best friend, but she stayed with the bulimia, and she wanted to be even thinner than I needed to be. And yeah, she passed away. So, but it was all things from childhood. It was these traumas from childhood, these little things, these tiny little things that happen to us that are really hard to look at. Really fucking hard to look at. And then there's these abstract things like our genetic makeup, right? And our soul, your own relationship with your soul. And if you went through a lot of trauma as a child, you might have a perception of reality that's kind of like from above you, right? It's kind of like you're not quite looking through your own eyes, like your memories are kind of looking down at everything. You're kind of in this disassociation, right? Like you're present, you're you, but you have this different perspective, right, of reality. And because of that, you're quite empathic, you're quite aware, you have perspective, you have a broad-eyed view, but you don't have this internal view. So developing your relationship with your internal world is scary and challenging. It's almost like a stranger danger for yourself at first. And so the nervous system kind of freaks out. And so that's why I love yoga, because, and movement, because yoga allows you to get to know your body. You can also do slow weightlifting. Now, I have studied yoga my whole life. I'm blessed to have studied yoga really my whole life. Like, I've been around it my whole life. And I've been teaching for many years, and I'm definitely not like Miss Expert or everything. I've never gotten really super technical. I'm definitely more about the meditation, energy moving. That's my genius, but I'm really great at line, and I love teaching asana as well. And I wrote this book called All In. You want to get it, it's the Yoga Sutras in the Bible. It was a 10-year study, and it shares what's science, what's philosophy, and what's religious. And if the Bible agrees or disagrees or doesn't say anything at all. And it's a really cool book. Anyway, a few bucks there. It's on Amazon. Just look up Lisha Antiqua. So as I was studying all these things, looking at like how challenging it was for me to look at those internal workings in order to become the master of my reactivity. And my reactivity was all based on how my nervous system was formed. And my reactivity was highly embarrassing. My PTSD was really, really bad. And my driving force, like I said, was nutrition and getting fit, right? Because that was really important in my childhood. That was all that mattered. The other piece that we were doing all this treatment for and all these beautiful things in Boulder, Colorado with was to heal my childhood. To try, my mother was trying to repair what she could with the tools that she had to help me reprogram my mind and reclaim my nervous system, and for her to do the same for herself. And she has nearing neural emotional reflex integration, which is a chiropractic combination of neural emotional technique and neural emotional technique and NOT, which is neural organization. Oh my goodness, I haven't said those forever, so I don't know, but NOT. And I can't remember it. And anyway, they had the shift for using your right brain, left brain, and looking this way and that way, and they help reform your cells so you can work in that epigenetic field. So I started learning about epigenetics in my 20s when I went through cancer, because we were doing NOT, neural organization technique. Yeah, and then NET, neural emotional technique. We started doing that. I'll get right to you. Hope I can't wait to read that. And so I started learning about how our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions and everything are so tied into our childhood experiences, specifically our childhood traumas, and then our genetic makeup and our soul signature. And over the course of my lifetime, these pieces have come together, which is the 6 personal power zone theory. It's my coaching and teaching and training and everything. And I had to develop the skills in order to hold this really safe container for my clients who have gone through horrific fucking shit, to look at their childhood and look at it without being afraid of it anymore, and looking at it with a new perspective. And if you want to read about my perspective, my journey from this, it does include God stuff, you guys, but From Bondage to Happiness, Let Love Set You Free is this book. And it's a workbook about perspective, really, and just different lessons from spirit. So as I was learning how to connect my spirit to my body, that essence that I had total memory of, right, to my body, and do it in a way that reformed my nervous system. I got all these tools. I got all this stuff, and I have it all for you now. And it's literally 30 years of work, and I'm not even stretching that. I started when I was 13. My mom and I started really, and together we've created this. So it's been pretty cool. So Faith says, my mother who passed away 3 days ago, oh my gosh, love, I'm so sorry, was such a narcissistic person, even with COVID. She informed her favorite child and not me that she had COVID, and my sister refused to give me access to see her. All right, Faith, love, if you're still here, and anybody listening, this is such the beautiful piece about spirit. So with both my abusers that have passed, I didn't go to see them. I didn't see them. And part of that was distance, and part of that was choice. But just feel your breath for a moment and give yourself permission if you choose. Give yourself permission to be safe. You can even visualize a bubble around you. Everybody, we can do this for anything that you'd like to do it with. Even people that are alive, but it works special right now. And just wrap yourself up and going into your heart, if you're able, take a few deep breaths and tell yourself that you're safe. Tell the girl and the woman and the person that she has hurt, abused, neglected, ghosted, confused, misplaced, misspoke, and harmed, that she is safe and that you are with her. And if you want, go ahead and ask God, Jesus, the angels, whatever you believe in, source, to just bring light, bring support to you here. And then first I want to invite you to just take a moment and just tell her how hurt, mad, and angry you are. Accept what was, fully for what it was, without trying to fight it, fix it, or change it. Finally set yourself free. Just accept what was. Say, fuck, that sucked. Take a nice deep breath. And if you're at the place where you can accept what was, just let it all out from every age. You hurt me. How dare you? How can you see me? This is what I think about you, really. I tried to be loving and forgiving and kind. Right? Fuck, you gave me a lot of shit I had to deal with. I'm such a better blah, 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 right? Like, just go for it. Go for it. And sometimes this is a beautiful place to journal if this is deep, and just let her have it. She can handle it now. And you can handle it. You can even ask God and Jesus to just protect her. Just let her have it. Give yourself permission to let all of that stuff unravel and let go. All of it unravel and let go. You can even visualize in your mind's eye, like just like a pile of stuff just unraveling, just streaming up to heaven, being taken up and taken away as quickly as possible from all time, space, dimension, and reality. Through all soul ties and connections. Just letting your nervous system unravel. You might feel like you want to shake or move or wiggle or just, and that's okay. Good. Let it out. Let it out. Till it's done. Done for today, maybe done forever. You're just honoring what was, letting yourself be there. And if there's any part of you that has something to say to her that you wish that you said to her and were able to say to her when she was alive, to stand over her. Visualize yourself just standing over her. She'll look however she looks in your mind's eye. And just say whatever you need to say. Just say whatever you need to say. Even Mom, I'm scared of how you're going to respond to me. I'm scared of being hurt again. And for now, you're just going to ask her not to respond. Letting that yourself be safe. Knowing she's coming from a higher place and she no longer needs to reply, to respond. That is her own childhood trauma response. That is her own trauma response. Releasing all that fear of reactivity. Just say what you need to say. What you needed from her. Reclaim some of that power and that dependency that you asked her to fill up during this lifetime. Ask her to release you. Ask yourself to release her. Knowing that as things come up, you'll process them with this much love, this much safety, this much care. Releasing her to higher things, releasing her, and releasing your cellular memory from her reactivity, from her judgment. Just open up to a little bit of possibility, just a tiny bit, safety and possibility of what it means to just know how to love yourself. From her example of not loving yourself, herself, anything, anyone. Acknowledge yourself. Acknowledge your little girl. Acknowledge your connection genetically to the woman who birthed you. Acknowledge your spark, your soul. Whenever you're ready, open your eyes, feeling your heart. So that it's impromptu. But if you are here, Faith, I hope that helps. And it's a process that I take my clients through. We work a lot in the heart center, the sacred heart of you. And every saint I've ever read about, and I was voraciously reading about all the saints for years. I love Carolyn Mace. I studied her forever, and she got me really turned on about saints. And then I'm Catholic in raising. So they talk about the Sacred Heart. And when I found like the root of my work, when I work with clients, the deepest childhood healings that we do are in this heart center, your heart center. And you do the healings yourself. I help you create that container, and I have an awareness, because I just always have, that allows me to guide, like literally a teacher, a mentor, a guide through a journey back to self. And this gift has been mind-blowing. And as I've learned about epigenetics and quantum physics and soul healings and sozos and transpersonal psychology and everything that entails, and everything, yoga and consciousness, law of attraction, reality manifestation, different dimensions, different times, geometry, sacred geometry. I mean, I have this great appreciation for the power that we have, not only to have freedom for ourselves, to not be reactive, to release the anxiety and have more self-authenticity, to let go of the depression and know where to lean into life and know your passions and have permission to be passionate in life, and know your desires and lean into your desires and trust your desires and trust yourself to love. To love and call in those relationships that are super powerful, to have the abundance in your life and the love in your life and all these transformations, right? So we're not able to do that when we're living in this stagnant reality, and we're living in stagnant reality because our nervous system controls our reactions. And your nervous system was programmed, like hard rocked by 28, which I think actually gives us more power around it. And maybe that'll be another topic another day. But it also really goes to these belief systems that form, and really before the age of 12. So those early childhood dramas and traumas in the environment that you grew up in, as well as your genetics and your soul imprint, like your lessons from your soul, which is other things I lead people in finding. And they all work together to create your experience and your reactivity and everything. But the good news is when you are brave enough to step back and reprogram them and look at them and have that safe container to do it. And some people can do it for themselves. I can't do it for myself. I have safe containers that I trust to hold that space for me, and I go into my own childhood healing. I can do it a limited amount myself, and I'm a genius at it. I can do it for everybody else. That's why I think it's so important for me to have this level of education, to be able to really take seriously what I know, to stand in this value and this worth for myself. And I'm going to wrap it up right now. But I did all of this so I can help you. If you went through sexual abuse, if you went through your dad beating your mom being narcissistic, your dad being narcissistic, an absentee parent, both parents at work all the time, a brother abusing you, a sister abusing you, a babysitter abusing you, aunt, uncles, cousins, school teachers, coaches, the kid next door, all of the fucking above, if you were triggered by a breakup or something and it threw you into an eating disorder, like all that happens before you're 28 years old, and especially before you're 12. If you have those things that you're like, I just don't want to look at it, I can't deal with it, it's scary to look inside, it's scary to get inside, that's why I'm here. And I think at the root of it all is our birthing process and sexuality. That is why that became my focus, not only because that was my deepest wound and my deepest abuse and the thing that really shook things up for my whole nervous system and held me captive for the longest, but also because it's how we're born. It is how we come into existence. So having a beautiful relationship with your sexuality, men and women, is super important. So I have an offer for you because that's how I can serve, right? It's with your permission and with your full agreement. And so we do that through coaching and or courses And I have many. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been putting together my masterpiece for a long time to serve you through. And there's different levels. And so the best way to move forward, if this touches you, if you were moved, if you feel called to look at your own childhood and put the pieces of yourself back together, claim your liberation, claim your freedom, not only for yourself, but you will change your genetics. So it shifts future generations. You will change the energetic tie, that soul tie. So your kids shift even if they're born. And you will shift and change your reality, because you will be more open to love, more open to happiness, more open to pleasure, more open to trusting yourself, more open to that abundance that is your birthright. And I do it in systematic form. And depending on where you're at in your own healing process, many of my clients have been seeking and knowing and love personal development and therapy in themselves for many years. So if this is you, you're not alone. So just schedule a call with me, right? So a 30-minute free, we'll see if a session comes up. We'll talk about your next step. We'll talk about where you are. We'll just have this clarity. So you go to lishaantiqua.com, just lishaantiqua.com. If this calls to you, set up 30 minutes with me, schedule an hour, and we'll feel into this. And then if a program or opportunity to work together feels really aligned and really wonderful, we'll schedule that and we'll move forward. Be prepared to move forward with this time. There's not much shift we can do there. I have a lot of free content here, but to get really personal and really deep, we need longer periods of time. So yeah, this will be really a call about if you're a candidate for this work, and creating that safe space for you, and then finding a place that is just really beautiful and open and freeing to, that you can handle, to say yes to. And with that, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of my reality and my world, and I will talk to you soon.